Well, the George Zimmerman trial opened up in Sanford, Florida today. He's the man accused of murdering unarmed teenager Trayvon Martin in February of last year. Well, Zimmerman says it was self-defense, but prosecutors believe Martin was racially profiled. Jury selection started today. Judge Debra Nelson still hasn't determined whether she will allow testimony of voice recognition experts who say they might be able to identify who was screaming on a 911 call recorded during Zimmerman's confrontation with Martin. Here's some of that.
911, do you need police, fire, medical?
Maybe both. I'm not sure. There's just someone screaming outside.
Okay. And is it a male or female?
It sounds like a male.
And you don't know why?
I don't know why. I think they're yelling help, but I don't know.
Okay, so that's the call, and that issue here is they're going to have a hearing, right, which is called like a Fry hearing, to determine whether or not the evidence is probative, important for the jury to hear versus its prejudicial impact. And part of it is going to be whether or not experts are going to be able to shed some light with some accuracy, some credibility in terms of whether or not that was Trayvon Martin or George Zimmerman calling for help. If it's too confusing and that they think it's junk science, she's not going to allow it in, but she runs the risk of this coming in an appeal. If you're a juror, you want to hear this. The jury hasn't been picked. It's going to be 6 people deciding the fate. Normally, as you know, it's 12, but Florida is 6, which is significant because he's charged with second-degree murder, which is 25 years minimum.
Why is it 6, not 12?
That's the law in Florida, and then 4 alternates.
So there's no eyewitness, Kimberly, so it makes it harder, right, because you're making a judgment call based on the evidence that they can scrape together. Sure. I have a question for you, which is why did this take 16 months to get started? That seems like an awful long time, but maybe is that normal?
Well, I think especially because this case has been, so incendiary in terms of the politics, the people involved, the initial delay in filing any charges, because initially the police determined that this was a case of self-defense, stand your ground law, and didn't present it for prosecution. It was once the DA's office got in charge, and specifically in Florida as the state attorney, that this started to escalate. And then you still have the defense attorney, Mr. O'Mara, saying, look, we just got 4,000 pages of discovery from the prosecutors this week. We need a delay in the trial. So Judge Nelson is, weighing all these issues. She's elected to proceed forward with the case. And then you see George Zimmerman sitting there conferring with counsel. Eric?
So we're just starting, but this kind of struck me. The evidentiary rulings, some of them sound pretty interesting. Defense cannot mention or bring in evidence concerning Trayvon Martin's school suspension, his prior drug use. Defense cannot bring the jury to the scene of the crime. Why wouldn't they be allowed to bring him to the scene of the crime so that they could at least feel or know? Yeah,
they worry about jury field trips, and then also this jury is not going to be sequestered, is what.
And they can't hear about Trayvon Martin's text messages before or on the day he was shot.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the NSA's got that covered.
Yes, seriously.
Snowden has it.
What's the story with Zimmerman's attorney? Is he bad?
Oh no, he's excellent. Mark O'Mara is a fine defense attorney. It doesn't matter. That's what the judge is. He can make the motions and requests, but he's establishing quite a record for appeal. So even if the state manages to get some kind of conviction against Zimmerman, it's really going to be questionable and suspect, because a lot of this can be appealable, and any one of these things is reason to throw it out, let alone what's called Brady violations for not turning over discovery. That is like the holy grail for prosecutors.
You can't
got to give me information.
Drug use into a case like this. I mean, unless you could prove he was high at the time of the...
Well, I mean, there are other ones. I mean, his text messages on the day of and going to the scene.
I was just thinking just what we needed, a racially charged show trial. Looking forward to all the talking heads babbling about facts when there are none at their disposal.
All right, well, that was uplifting.
That's how I feel.
Okay, coming up.